All right, I'm down here at one of my favorite places on the planet, Delacroix Sweetwater Marina, and it's a gorgeous morning. I slept in a little bit on purpose to get a late start because it was really cold last night. Got into the 30s. Here we are now toward the end of March, and we're kind of having our coldest weather of the year, but it's supposed to warm up into the low 70s today. Hopefully that happens. But I came down here because the speckled trout run has been really good. You saw that a few videos ago. This is my first time back since then. I don't think it's going to be a top water event today. I think that water temp is going to be too cold, but I'm hoping to catch some fish on course and also some tight line. Maybe target some reds and bass as well. We'll see. But hopefully the wind stays down. That is the current forecast. Supposed to be a really, really great day. I can't wait to get on the water. Okay, so there wasn't a lot of wind in the forecast, but hey, it's March. March, it's gonna be windy. And today is windy. It's not horrible. It's probably blowing about 10, maybe just slightly above 10. One thing I certainly have working against me though is water temp. It is 58 degrees. That's 11 degrees colder than the last time I fished Delacroix. And if you saw that video, you know we caught a bunch of speckled trout on topwater baits. I doubt I'm even gonna throw a topwater today. If I do, it won't be until much later in the day when this water warms up, but it would be pointless right now, 58 degree water. So I've got my trusty Versamax bolt cork above a 1/16 ounce death grip jig head and a shrimp creole colored matrix shad. And my plan is simply to just cover some water and find some fish. I like using this as a search rig. Frequently, if I find fish using this, I will switch to a different technique. Sometimes I'll just stick with this if I feel like that's what they really want. Oh, there's a fish. Oh, I missed him. First bite of the day. Oh, there he is. There he is. I don't know if he's gonna make the cut. Yeah, he will. Yeah, he will. Spot lock us. Make sure he's 12, and he is 12 and a half. All right, it's gonna be dinner. Well, he's gonna be part of dinner. This episode of Marsh Man Masson brought to you by Puglia Sporting Goods. Okay, that was literally about my 5th cast, I guess. Maybe not even that much. So that's a good sign. And I noticed on the boat ride out here, the tide is falling pretty hard. And I'm just in a shallow, no-name pond. It's got about 4 feet of depth. So much of Delacroix is heavily eroded and subsided. But if you look on maps and find where ponds used to exist, you look back at the old black and white satellite images, and typically those areas that used to have ponds are where the deeper water is. If you fish that newly eroded stuff, it might be 2, maybe even 3 feet deep. I tend to avoid that. I want the 4 to 5 foot depths. Now, I was talking to Captain Jack Payne, owner of Sweetwater Marina, when I was launching, and he said the wind really blew yesterday. They caught fish, but they had to fight that wind. But man, you would never know the wind was blowing based on the clarity of this water today. It is just gorgeous. Now, this pond I'm fishing has a lot of submerged aquatic vegetation. So that definitely helps keep it a lot prettier than some of the adjacent water. There's a fish. All right. That's a better fish. Maybe 13 inches. There we go. Not much better. But here in Louisiana, speckled trout, at least for now, only have to be 12 inches. And these little guys are really, really tasty. Now this does not feel like a state record. We'll see if he joins the club. But man, he is not big, I'll tell you that. Nope. That's a baby. All right, so we've established that the fish in this pond are not trophies. All right, I got about 6 takedowns and 3 connections, 2 of which were keepers. I could probably do this drift again and put a few more fish in the boat, but I'm gonna cruise on and go look for some bigger specimens and also some more consistent action. I know I can probably come back here if I want to, but right now the hunt is gonna continue. All right, the water in this pond is absolutely gorgeous. Beautiful. Now, it's not quite as deep as I'd like. Only about 2.5 feet. So I may have to shorten the leader on this Versamax bulk cork, but I'm hoping I drift across a little bit deeper water. Oh, there's a better fish. That's a better fish. Oh my goodness. What are you? Oh yeah, nice speckled trout. Oh yeah, good fish. That's why we moved. I mean, he only looks nice because of what we left. About a 15-inch fish, I guess. Boy, I tell you, I'd love to be throwing those top waters. This water's perfect for it. A lot of grass in here too, but I just have no confidence they'll hit it with this water temp being what it is. Oh, there's one. There's one. Nice fish. There we go. A gill rattler. That's a good fish. So I just got a call from my buddy Joe Levine. You've seen Joe in previous videos drifting the North Shore rivers. He said he was out here just a couple weeks ago throwing shrimp creole, throwing lemonhead, and he said they caught some fish, but he said they saw a bunch of glass minnows in the water, so they switched over to magneto, which is kind of a white color, and he said the fish just went crazy. So I asked him about the water clarity. He said it looked a lot like what I'm fishing today. So I've switched to a magneto. We're gonna see if it makes a difference. I've caught a few fish on that shrimp creole, so if this doesn't work, I'll definitely switch back. But I know there's at least a few fish in here because I've already caught a couple. And these fish are nicer. So when I get them dialed in, I'm gonna switch to a subsurface jerkbait and try and catch some bruisers. There's a fish. There's a fish. Looks like about the size of the ones we caught in the first pond. I really got to spot lock us. Nah, he's better than that. Good solid keeper. Don't have to measure him. About 14 inches, I'd say. On Joe's magneto. Let's see if it's a pattern or just a fluke. This episode of Marsh Man Masson brought to you by Matrix Shad and by Fitzgerald Fishing. And by Cito New Orleans, and by Versamax Corks, and by Death Grip Jig Heads. Now, a lot of you fish down in South Louisiana know how much fresh water we have this year. The Mississippi River is just sky high. The Bonnet-Carré Spillway is open, dumping river water into Lake Pontchartrain. The whole estuary is just full of muddy river water, and that's a blessing and a curse. A lot of people focus on the negative side of that, and there's definitely some negatives, no question about it. But there's a whole lot of positives. Number one, and most important, is juvenile speckled trout do much better in water that's almost purely fresh. So although we kind of take our medicine in the short term, in the long term it means better fishing. I expect we'll have just a ridiculously good fall this year. But also, that dirty water tends to concentrate the fish in areas that have clean water. So you got to get away from the filth and go find the areas that the trout have concentrated in where the water quality is a lot better. And that's kind of what I'm trying to do today. Water I'm fishing right now is really, really nice. I didn't think I'd find water this pretty today. It really blew hard yesterday. But this time of year, the grass is really sprouting every day, and that just helps this water to clean up. I'll fish off the back of the boat where I can watch the depth finder. I'm not overly familiar with this pond, so I don't know where the really good areas are. All right, I tied on a shadow wrap. Just want to see if I can catch any decent fish on a jerkbait. I don't know if the grass is too bad in here, we'll see. But the color I selected looks more like a glass minnow than a glass minnow does, so that's what they're feeding on. That's what we got. And to me, fishing a soft plastic under a cork, it's just essential gear for finding fish. It's just, to me, it's the best search method because you can cover a lot of water and the fish will almost always hit it if they're in the area. But when I do find a few fish, get dialed in a little bit, I like to switch to other presentations. And this is a really good method of fishing this time of year in these ponds. Now these jerk baits work well in water that's really pretty, that has some grass, and that's just too cool to throw top waters. It'll still work on days when top waters work, but if this water were about 10 degrees warmer, I'd be fishing up top. Well, I found the bottom. Boy, there's really very little in these marshes that is this solid. I gotta be hooked on a crab trap. It's the only thing I can figure. I might lose this bait because it doesn't look like it's gonna give. I think this bait is gonna be gone. Yep. Damn. Oh, that's heartbreaking. I lost my whole leader as well, so I have to tie another one of those on. Oh, there's one. There's one. There's one. Come on, be a speckled trout. Be a speckled trout. Oh yeah, nice trout. Nice trout. All right, on my stick bait. All right, that's what we came for. I mean, look, he ain't a trophy, I know that. But I love catching fish on these stick baits. There's a nice little slick right here, and I can definitely smell it. If you're not sure what a fish slick smells like, it smells like watermelon. I know that sounds crazy, but that's what it smells like. It smells like watermelon. You can see it right here. Definitely some fish feeding right here. That's where I caught this one. All right, let's see if he has some friends. I think he does. Oh, there he is, there he is, there he is, right in that same slick. That fish hit me twice. Man, he's going crazy. I'm not sure how well he's got these hooks. Oh, he doesn't have it well at all. That's a good fish. Let me tell you what, that's a good fish. Whoo, let me get you swinging around one more time, buddy, so I don't get a hook in my hand. There we go. That's a good speckled trout. That is a good trout. That's a 17-inch fish. Right in that same slick as that other one was in. He hit me twice, or at least one of them did. So if you saw, I lost my shadow wrap, which really sucks because they're not cheap. So I put on something that looks very similar. This is, I believe, an Academy brand bait. I think it's called a hover shad or something like that. I'll look it up. But it's the closest thing I had to that shadow wrap I was using. Now we've only caught 2 fish on this jerk bait. But if you notice, they're both considerably bigger than the fish we caught on the corks. Definitely not uncommon. Oh, there's a good one. There's a good one. Oh my goodness. Ooh. Ooh. That might be a really nice trout. I'm gonna loosen this drag. It could be a redfish, but that might be a really nice trout. He broke the water twice. I think it is a trout. And if it is, it's a good one. All right, don't get off, don't get off, don't get off. It's a bad thing with these jerk baits. Boy, they throw them a lot. Just like a topwater, they got a lot of leverage with the weight of that bait. Oh, nice trout, nice trout. He's not as big as I thought, but he is a beautiful fish. I'm gonna say, oh, he's barely hooked. Oh, please don't get off. Dude, he's about to get off. I can tell you, he is about to get off. Oh, shoot. Oh, goodness. He does not have this bait well at all. Look at that. Oh, I wish I had the net out. Oh, there we go. Big fish. Beautiful trout. Look at this guy. Man, something happened to him. He's all bit up in the back. Beautiful, beautiful speckled trout. Look at that. That hook sprung right out, that back hook. Ah. He only really had this middle hook. Oh, that's awesome. It's about a 3-pound fish. He's skinny though. May weigh less than that, but it's a really nice fish. Yeah, when that fish hit, I thought he might be a red, but then he came right up and broke the surface. If you saw my last Delacroix video, you know my buddy Larry caught a 24-inch trout, not all that far from here, throwing topwater baits. So they've got some big ones around this time of year, that's for sure. Oh, there's a fish. There's a fish right in that slick again. Oh, goodness. He does not want to come up at all. What are you? You have got to be kidding me. Oh, goodness. Stingray. Stingray on my jerkbait. Now, this is some really bad news because I do not mess with stingrays. What am I gonna do? Am I gonna sacrifice this bait? I don't mess with these fish. Heard too many bad stories of people getting hospitalized from stingrays. I'm gonna reel down to him, see if I can get it off. But of course, he's well hooked. Stingray on a jerkbait. That may be a first for me. Man, I really don't want to lose this jerkbait. But if I get stung, my day is over. All right, we got it. See you, buddy. Please don't bite again. That's disappointing. You think you have a big trout and it's a stingray on a jerkbait. I can see little slicks scattered all around in this little part of this pond. And this, not surprisingly, is the only place I can get any bites in this pond. It's not a very big area. And I know, oh, with me running around in here, making so much noise, it's gonna eventually drive these fish out of here. So for those of you who don't know, the presence of slicks indicates that fish are feeding. Speckled trout, like most fish, gorge themselves, often eating way more than their bellies can hold. And so they regurgitate, and all that oil comes to the surface. All right, I'll win. Oh, there's a fish. There's a fish. Ooh, ooh, nice trout. Nice trout. Look at him going crazy. All right, there we go. Good, healthy fish. Really, really nice. Got all three hooks with the back treble under his chinny chin chin. Now this jerkbait bite definitely has a shelf life. These marshes right now are full of brown shrimp, but they're microscopic. They're really, really tiny, larvae sized, but they're growing every day. And when they get big enough for the trout to notice, the trout kind of transition over to the shrimp bite. And then you're much better off throwing a cork than these jerkbaits. Now, of course, you get in situations where the fish are in a frenzy and they'll hit absolutely anything. When that's the case, you can throw these jerkbaits and they'll do fine. But as far as covering a flat like this, a grassy flat, and catching some really nice trout, we're now at the end of March. I'd give it maybe another couple weeks. So I do a lot of fishing solo, and there's a really good reason for that. Well, really probably a couple of good reasons for that. The first is that shooting these videos takes a tremendous amount of non-fishing time. It's all behind the scenes, it's stuff you don't see, but it really slows things down and kills your efficiency. And many people understandably get annoyed by that when they're trying to fish with you. The second thing is, this is the point in most trips when I drive my friends crazy. I could probably keep making drifts over this same flat, throwing that jerkbait, maybe throwing a cork, and catch a limit of speckled trout. But to me, I like exploring. I like going to see where else I can find fish. I already know there are fish here now. I rode through a bayou on the way into here. It's about 3 feet deep, but in the bends it was about 7 feet deep. And that just looked really, really intriguing to me. It's very close to here. I'm hoping it has the same clarity of water. So I'm gonna run over to that and just fish the length of that bayou and see what I can run across. Maybe it'll be redfish, bass, speckled trout, or a combination of all of the above. But to me, I already feel like the day is a success just because of the action we had right here. Let's go see if we can make it even better. All right, so I'm in my bayou. The water's just as pretty as what I left. Got 5 feet right here, but I know I saw some deeper water on the way in. I'm gonna fish off the back of the boat and watch my depth finder. I'm throwing a limbo slice matrix shad on a death grip jig head, 1/4 ounce. I'm gonna try and find some of these ledges. Water's still falling really, really well. Good conditions for this type of fishing. Some beautiful, oh my goodness, did I get drilled. I don't know what that was. I got smoked. Shame on me for missing that fish. Well, that's a good sign. Oh, there's a fish. There we go. Speckled trout, foul hooked, but I will take him. Well, I think I'll take him. He may not be big enough. Let's go put him on the tape. Just barely 12 inches. Oh, fish. There's a fish. That's a better trout. That's a much better trout. All right. Now he was right where that other fish was, but I kind of came on the backside to cast and retrieve my bait with the current. And he hit right away. You can see this is such an impressive ambush point. This tide and the wind's pushing this water right here. Obviously there's a ledge right here, and these fish are holding right on the edge of that ledge. All right, 2 trout, can't get another bite. It's the way it is sometimes. But there are other bends in this bayou, and I bet they also hold a few fish. This bayou is not very deep. That's why those fish seem to be concentrated in the deepest water in the bayou, which is only maybe 6 or 7 feet. Oh, there's a fish. First cast. That's a trout. First cast on this bend. All right. Spot lock us. See if he had friends. Man, he took it deep too. Look at that. That's what you want to see. I bet that's not the only fish right there. If he hit that hard, I bet he's got some buddies. He was trying to get it before they could. We've got to be getting close to the end of this fall. I'm starting to see a lot of exposed bank here. And this wind has really kind of shifted to the northeast. That's gonna want to blow water into this marsh. So I don't think it's gonna fall too much longer. Got to make hay while the sun's shining. That's what my farmer Pappy taught me. There's a fish. All right. Oh, it's a bass. Look at this. Nice trout. Nice trout. I thought for a minute it was a bass, but it's not. I saw that big mouth come up. And look how deep. Look how deep. There's a fish. All right. So pretty, so pretty. Love these guys. 15-inch speckled trout, just in that mixing water right here. Man, he took it deep. This is one of my favorite ways to fish for speckled trout, fishing against the current. The tail of that matrix shad is just flapping with the water, fishing really, really slowly. Braided line is a must. Quality gear, absolutely essential. I'm using my favorite jigging rod, medium heavy, 7-foot Fitzgerald, all purpose. Just an excellent, excellent rod. In all honesty, it's an absolute steal for the money. There are some days when any rod will do, it doesn't matter. The fish are just drilling everything. But even on those days, it doesn't hurt you to have good equipment. There's a lot of days where they're not drilling everything and you got to feel those real subtle bites. Oh my goodness. How'd you miss that? There he is. He came back. Man, I tell you what, this bayou is just loaded with speckled trout. They're not concentrated anywhere. But man, I'm just drifting through. I mean, I literally just turned off the spot lock. Probably moved maybe 20 feet and then caught this one. Now, he was in the middle of this bayou in an area I would not have expected a trout to be. Just featureless. I was basically just biding time between the bends. See, we got another bend coming up here to the left. Looks intriguing. There's a fish. All right. You think these fish aren't aggressive? Look how deep every one of these fish is taking this bait. So as a crow flies, I'm maybe 200 yards from where I caught the fish in that pond. And it just kind of goes to show you, if you can find this pretty water, you're gonna find the fish. It's a very different pattern than I fished earlier. But these fish are in here ambushing something. And I'm not just sitting on anchor wearing them out, believe me. I'm moving a little bit, spot locking, and fishing out what's there. But it seems like catching 2 to 3, 4 fish in every bend. And if you can do that, you'll catch your limit pretty quickly. And I know I'm getting close to mine. Here comes company. How's it going? Y'all getting a few? Yeah? They don't want to eat, huh? You seeing a lot? Yeah. Good luck. All right, as shallow as this bayou is, the passage of that boat is probably going to spook the fish. So I think what I'm gonna turn the camera off, grab a bite to eat, be a good time to eat a little lunch, and continue my drift in this bayou. Hopefully this tide will continue to fall and doesn't quit while I'm eating. I'll be back in a second. All right, egg sandwich for lunch. It was really good. And now we're back on the prowl. It looks like there's only 2 more bends in this bayou. There's a fish. Not as big as some, but certainly a keeper. Whew. There's gonna be fish somewhere right here. There is absolutely gonna be. Just gotta figure out what the sweet spot is. This looks way too good. Not a tremendous amount of water, but you can tell it's definitely a little bit deeper here, pushing up onto that ledge. 4.1 feet where we are. There's a fish. God, it's a croaking male. Look how wide the back of this fish is. It's really solid for March. Perfect eater. All right, well, the law says I may legally keep no more. I've got 50 future fillets cooling in the ice chest. And that means there's gonna be a really good fish fry at the Masson household this weekend. Now, I caught fish today in multiple of different ways, but I'm really excited about the ones I found in this bayou, just because I've never fished it. It's just kind of the value of exploring. And as you know, if you're a regular viewer of this channel, it's my favorite thing to do. Well, if you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up. Also subscribe to the Marsh Man Masson channel on YouTube. And don't forget to hit the notification bell so you'll be notified whenever we post another video. And until next time, if we don't see you in the marsh, we'll see you right here on Marsh Man Masson.